Good morning. This morning's chapel is about traditions and foundations at St. Catherine, and we have two alumni sharing with us today. Preston Blackburn, the mother of Sarah, and Kate Ackerby, the mother of Mary. So we're going to turn the service over to them.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Preston and I are so happy to be here and grateful to have been asked to prepare a chapel talk in connection with our 125th anniversary. Our theme today is traditions and foundations. Both of us were students here from kindergarten all the way through, and we thought we knew it all. But it's a good thing we weren't tested on this. Researching this has been so interesting, and we've enjoyed pretending to be students again. So fasten your seatbelts, we're going down memory lane. Among one of the most unique and special aspects of St. Catherine's is the longevity of traditions that began with the founding of St. Catherine's in 1890 that have lasted until today and continue to thrive. As St. Catherine's has sustained the passage of time for 125 years, so have the traditions, hymns, and ceremonies that have remained remarkably unchanged. As you know, in 1890, Virginia Randolph Ellett started her school, which is now St. Catherine's as we know it today. She taught children in the house that she lived in with her mother and sister on East Gray Street. In 1897, she relocated the school to Linden Road, which is downtown right across from the Jefferson Hotel. It was at the Linden Road location that the first June Queen was selected in 1903. The senior student who best exemplified the school motto was selected June Queen. Shortly after that, in 1906, her school relocated once more to 14 North Laurel Street, which bordered Monroe Park. The new setting offered the students outdoor space for activities, games, and exercise. And just 4 years later, in 1910, the school was named the Virginia Randolph Ellett School. The first junior-senior banquet was held in 1915. It was held at the Laurel Street location. Later, when campus moved to its current location, the banquet took place in the Center Bungalow, which is one of 3 on campus. The banquet eventually moved to the dining hall and arcade, but is now held in the Keenan Flagler Auditorium. The change in location, however, has had no effect on the banquet. It has always been hosted by the juniors for the seniors as a farewell dinner and has always been top secret and themed. The exact date, This is 1917. Here's a view of the school in its current location, the 3 bungalows, on 14.5 acres of land located in West Hampton area of Richmond, which was comparable to living in the country back then. In June of 1920, the church schools in the Diocese of Virginia acquired the Virginia Randolph Ellett School and renamed it St. Catherine's. A campus master plan was created in 1921 by Hobart Upjohn, an architect from New York. He designed a campus of 3 buildings that would be linked together facing a green. Originally called the Resident School, the boarding department of St. Catherine's was established in 1917. The first residents, however, lived off campus until they moved into Ellett Hall when it was completed in 1923. The addition of boarding students eventually doubled the size of the student body and exposed students to girls from faraway places. The boarding department was an integral part of campus for almost 90 years until it closed in 2008. Also in 1923, the school yearbook was renamed the Quair, which was an Old English word for a little book. It had been called Frills and Frizzes since 1902. The exact date of the first flower show is not known, but it began in the early 1920s. Each grade in the lower school was given a theme, and each student did a flower arrangement in keeping with the theme. Ribbons were awarded at each grade level. Miss McCoke discovered our school motto while traveling in England in 1925. She came across the words engraved on the tombstone and small words. Sharing the vision of Miss Jenny, she was focused on preparing girls not only for higher education, but also for lives of leadership and service. She felt that these words inspired selflessness and generosity required for that kind of life. These inspiring words continue to be a guiding force in the spiritual of our students today. Louisa Bacote Brackett was a firm believer in getting exercise outdoors and inspired an interest in athletics through friendly competition. She encouraged intramural competition amongst the lower, middle, and upper school students. The student body was divided into two teams, the golds and the whites. The team that won the majority of the points in athletic competitions during the school year had their name engraved on a silver cup. The first cup was won by the gold team in 1926. To this day, the two teams encourage friendly competition throughout the year, encouraging teamwork, sportsmanship, and loyalty among our students. The hymn Jerusalem was first heard by Miss Jenny in 1925 during her sabbatical in England. It was a song frequently sung by school children there and was considered the official anthem of the women's movement. It was first sung at commencement in 1926 and is still an integral part of our current graduation ceremony. The origin of the honor code was in 1928 from the senior students seeking the formation of student government with an honor system. Ms. Ella Watkins allowed the class of 1928 to quietly try this in their own class. The program was so successful that by the end of the first year, all 4 classes had a separate student government, all running with the same principles. By 1930, a council was formed for the entire school with representatives from each division. The ring and candlelight ceremony began in 1926, but this service, as you know it today, actually began as 2 separate services. In the fall of the school year, 7 candles were lit. The candelabra with various elevated heights of candles symbolized the students' growth and progress between the 9th grade and their senior year. During a spring candle lighting service, a senior lit the candle of a junior, indicating the junior was giving the best of herself to the school, and the senior was taking the best of it upon graduation. The school ring worn today was designed in the 1930s by James Branch Cabell, a former student of Miss Jenny's. The candle lighting service and the ring service have subsequently become one and celebrates the transfer of leadership from the graduating seniors to the juniors. The daisy chain began in the 1930s. It's not known for sure, but think the daisy is used because the fields all around St. Catherine's were filled with daisies. The girls would make their own bouquets. The seniors wore long white dresses as they do today. The juniors wore long pastel dresses, and the remaining underclassmen wore their Doncaster uniforms. The June Scholar was first recognized in 1931, celebrating the senior student who excelled scholastically and whose record is judged to be outstanding. The June Scholar was then and is still honored at graduation. The school hymn, Father in Heaven Who Lovest All, was chosen in 1931. Also in keeping with the master plan, the first portion of Bacote Hall was completed. Bacote was completed in 3 phases and was one of the 3 linked buildings that would ultimately face the green. In 1937, the Service League was created. Working with the community diocese, the Service League was a means of uniting the school's extracurricular activities, making its work more efficient. That same year, the school prayer was chosen and appeared for the first time in the commencement program. The first St. Catherine's Day service was held in November of 1938, scheduled to take place close to All Saints' Day. Students wrote poems and prayers, and representatives from the lower, middle, and upper schools were chosen to tell the story of St. Catherine of Alexandria in a theater production. In 1973, the service was changed to more of a religious ceremony rather than a theater play. For over 50 years, the senior class and upper school faculty have elected a senior who best exemplifies the ideals associated with St. Catherine. In 1939, On Easter Sunday, Miss Jenny passed away. As a tribute to her, Founder's Day began in 1940. It takes place towards the end of January in celebration of her birthday. The brick walls at the gates to Bacote were added in 1954. They are annually decorated for the holidays, but most fondly recognized when adorned with the daisy chain for graduation. In 1956, always the center of the St. Catherine's community and formerly known simply as the hockey field, the green finally received the much more fitting name that we use for it today. In 1967, the St. Kitts Players became ampersand. And in 1971, Turner Hall was built, giving us a much-needed full-scale library and a more useful chapel. The old chapel under the arcade became a bit of a mystery and part of a little folklore for many girls who had heard of its existence but only knew of worship here in the chapel in Turner Hall. The chapel was nameless until 2007 when it was renamed in honor of former head and student Gussie Banner. Whether it's the hockey field in Monroe Park or on the lower field, whether it's our golden white tradition, our juniors honoring seniors at banquet, the buildings that house our learning, and the campus that has evolved into one where our students are academically challenged in ways Miss Jenny never could imagine, we remain so much the same as those who were here before us, and hopefully for those who will come after us. As we see ourselves in those that have gone before us and reflect on what we leave for those who follow in our path, it is gratifying to know that the fabric of these traditions draw generations together. Much of St. Catherine's has changed over the years, but what has remained gives us opportunity to reflect on what binds us to the past, the present, and the future.